Hi fight fans. As you know, the lightweight division is a mess right now. All the top fighters are unstable. The champion is Oliveira, but he doesn't have a belt. While we don't have big fights planned in the coming days, I decided to discuss a topic which I think no one has discussed in detail. Ferguson versus Hooker is one of the more fascinating matchups. There's a big possibility that this fight will happen, and there's an important advantage that Hooker has against Ferguson that everyone has forgotten. Hooker's style of fighting is very dangerous for Tony. And if you don't agree, we will prove it easily in this video. And even though Tony does not have the best record for the last fights, we want to show you his biggest weapons that are still very dangerous against any opponent. Let's start with our favorite, El Cucuy. As you know, he's a unique fighter. He has unique training, a unique fighting style, the style of which is unlike anyone else. You all remember well how Tony used to roll out his rivals, but when he was over 35, his chips stopped rolling. He has defeats against Gaethje, Oliveira, Dariush, and his last defeat against Chandler could not be looked at painlessly. Even after this defeat, the biggest fans of Ferguson began to say that he was finished. Ferguson is over. But nevertheless, Tony is now very active in social networks, and many thought that he would disappear from the radar. But on the contrary, he is active and says that everything is just beginning. But we can all agree that Tony looked good against Chandler in the first round. Let's be honest, Chandler was very lucky, as he himself admits. He himself did not expect, did not plan, and did not work out this blow. No one even thought that Chandler could lift his leg so high. Anyone would go to sleep from such a blow. I'm not saying that Ferguson can become a champion and go on a good streak, but he can still win 1 or 2 fights and retire with dignity. And so I thought one potential opponent for him is Dan Hooker, who just like Ferguson is on a losing streak. Let's briefly refresh the memory of what happens in his career. 2 years ago, he scored a series of 3 victories, which was first James Vick, then Al Iaquinta, and then Paul Felder. And in the end, he fought Poirier. At that time, he was already ranked 5th in the ranking, and in a very competitive battle he lost, and problems began from this loss. In a fight with Chandler, he lost in the first round by a hard knockout. Then he had a small victory over the not-so-famous Nasrat Haqparast, and then there was a fight with Makhachev, which he accepted on short notice, and we all remember well how this fight ended. Makhachev almost broke his arm. He's never lost so quickly in his career. After all these failures, he fought Arnold Allen, to whom he immediately lost against by knockout in the first round. So Hooker is in the same position as Ferguson. I think this fight is also the last chance for Hooker, as well as for Ferguson. Let's take a quick look at who has a chance to win. In experience, these guys are very similar. They both have been fighting for the UFC for a long time. The opposition of both fighters was decent, especially in the last fights, although both of them lost, but lost to strong opponents. In cardio, I think they are not inferior to each other. They are both like machines. If we talk about Hooker, he fought 5 rounds more often than Tony. Yes, he was tired, but he passed them, and he has experience in this regard. But I think no one will put them in 5 rounds. If this fight takes place, then it will go on for 3 rounds, and they will pass these 15 minutes with dignity. Regarding the body types, here Tony has a longer arm span. They are equal in height, weight, but if you take the age, then Hooker is 7 years younger than Ferguson. The next aspect is wrestling. Hooker can climb here to fight. He tried to overcome Poirier, Haqparast, and even made 3 takedowns. I'm sure he will look where it is inconvenient for Tony, will study how he was defeated, and try to lie on top of him and score points. You know what could happen. And maybe Tony is better than Hooker. Maybe Tony will remember his elbows, knees, and if Hooker starts to brawl, maybe it's better for Tony. And the striking technique here is really unpredictable. Hooker is a very good striker and kickboxer. He has 10 knockouts in his career. The most dangerous are his direct blows. And the striking technique here is really unpredictable. Hooker is a very good striker and kickboxer. He has 10 knockouts in his career. The most dangerous are his direct blows. But Hooker is a perfect example of someone who does not work on defense and only likes to chop fight. Then he starts to pay for it. An example is his fight with Barboza, where Barboza rolled him out. Then there was a very difficult fight with Felder, then a fight with Poirier, where he also missed a bunch of punches. But apparently he does not learn from his mistakes, and even in training he manages to miss a lot of punches. And then he decided to move to featherweight and torture his body with weight cuts, and in the very first fight, Allen beat him and knocked him out in the end. But let's give Hooker credit because he performed well in that fight, and for this he paid the price. And as for Tony, do not write him off. Hooker can adjust to Tony and will probably get hit from all the kicks and all the jabs from Tony, but I'm afraid that Tony will try to take Hooker down and maybe take a hard straight, and Hooker, as we know, has knockout power. Tony comes after such a hard knockout, and now it is dangerous for him to fight with such a good striker because his hard knockout against Chandler can be repeated. Now, it would be dangerous for Ferguson to fight with such an opponent who has a knockout blow, but at the moment, we can all agree that you can't think of a better opponent for Ferguson because both fighters have an equal chance to win. In my opinion, according to statistics, Tony looks better. He misses less, at least until the fight with Gaethje. He punches with more accurate shots, but in the stand-up game, I see a little more favorably towards Hooker because of his youth. And in this prediction, it's hard for me to decide who to give the final victory to, Tony or Hooker. It's hard to decide. What do you think about this, and who do you prefer in this fight? Do you believe in Tony Ferguson's victory, or have you already found another favorite for yourself? I would prefer for Tony to rest a little after such a knockout, at least half a year, because falling again from a hard blow and a heavy knockout is a big chance. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe as it helps our channel grow.